Looks like someone's had a peep in this. Let's hope it's still intact, eh? So in here we've got what could be the next god tier Chinese watch. And it's from a brand I surprisingly haven't looked at in many months, that being San Martin, as you might be able to see just there. And this one, the second I saw it, basically, as I was researching for the newsletter, I just thought this thing looked spectacular, at least in the pictures. So I just emailed them and was like, can you send me one of these so I can take a look at it? Because I'm sure at least some of you back home will be pretty interested in this watch. It has got what looks like a fantastic dial on it that combines two of the most popular features at the moment for watch dials. So yeah, let's take a look at this. This model, by the way, is the SN0150G, as you may be able to see there, and I'll affiliate link it in the video description if you do want to check it out for yourself. It also looks like they've got some sort of European distribution center in Paris here in France, so your postage may be a little bit quicker than normal. But yeah, let's see how this looks in the flesh. So have the typical San Martin packaging here, just have a bunch of other bits and bobs inside there. And here we go. Wow, that is one heck of a dial. Now, straight out of the box, maybe looks a tiny bit different than I expected. I'll just get this plastic off. Luckily, San Martin is one of these brands where you don't have to have quite such a wrestling match with the plastic. It tends to come off reasonably easily. And here you go. This is your first look at the SN0150G from San Martin watches. And you can see what I mean about this dial. This thing looks really, really cool. Now on the product images, it looked even more iridescent than it does here. And on the camera, it also looks a tiny bit more iridescent than it does in person, admittedly. But here is a closer look at this dial. And yeah, it combines two really popular effects into one. It kind of has a swirl effect going on, but then it also has like a ridged guilloche dial effect too, like a CNC machined dial. And the result here is tremendous, man. This looks like a super luxurious dial for sure. Now the crystal is a little bit hazy, you can see here. This is a sapphire crystal, but not quite as problematic as one or two of the other previous watches. Don't know whether that's just because the dial itself is pretty reflective already. But yeah, this watch is currently selling for, well, there's multiple listings on sites like AliExpress, and it varies from about $295 all the way up to about $370 depending on the seller, but that's without any discount codes. If I've got any of them, I'll put them in the video description. So not cheap as far as AliExpress watches go, but man, it looks far more expensive than that anyway. And it comes in two colors, this one. There's a white version as well. This one was definitely the one that stuck out to me from the stock images for obvious reasons. And this is pretty wearable, much more wearable perhaps than one of their Chinese swirl dial watches that I previously looked at. That one was significantly brighter, I dare say a little bit garish, but I imagine this for most people is much more palatable despite having a similarly impressive effect there. Now it's got all the usual specs you'd expect from a San Martin watch, so it is very well specced too. Extremely slim case here. Now I'm not sure, but this could well be like a slightly new case for San Martin. Looks similar-ish to a lot of their other ones with this hairline polishing. Incredible quality of polishing too, as you can probably see there, with some nice brushing as well. But yeah, this one certainly seems a bit slimmer. Now, some of that is to accommodate the nice slim movement we got in here, which they're saying here is a Miyota 9015, which is a pretty good and thin automatic. And you can see it also gives the second hand a pretty smooth sweep, 28,800 beats per hour, I believe. And it's also got some of the updates from some of the more recent and slightly more expensive San Martin watches. So the hands there have been really nicely cut, as you can see, like a 3D effect to them. The case, of course, full 316L stainless steel, and it also has a screwed back like most of the other watches. It says on the back here 10 ATM water resistance, which is I think more than enough for most people, and it's also very flush, so we're interested to see how flat this one wears. And the crown there too is screwed down, so I don't doubt that water resistance rating for a second. You'll notice here the date wheel is also dark to kind of match with the dial, and it is very well aligned indeed, as you can see if I put it square on. So yeah, they made some pretty good choices here. Still not the biggest fan of whatever anti-reflective coating they're using on their crystals. Don't think it's really the clearest I've come across, as you can see, but it should be extremely scratch resistant. Let's get the sizes out of the way while we're here too. Oh, and just looking here, it seems to have a new type of clasp as well, so I guess we'll give that a go. And while they did send the watch to me, and I don't think I've got to return it, they didn't say I had to say anything in particular or anything like that. If that clasp is worse, I will tell you, but width here, we're looking just north of 39 millimeters. It kind of depends where you measure because we've got these crown guards. The bezel itself is 37.8, so relatively compact. Lug to lug also looks quite short, 46.5, and a thickness there with a crystal that may be fractionally raised there out of the bezel, and with that it's just a hair over 10 millimeters. Certainly looks very nice and thin. The lug width too on this, if you did want to change the band, is 20 millimeters, I think there. But I doubt you'll want to change the band because this one looks like a good one. Yeah, really nice finishing on the edges of all this, and then also the edges of those central links too. Nice high polish there. And let's have a look at this clasp. Still has a nice satisfying click with the San Martin branding and that, but the toggle on the inside seems to have changed. Now, it will be some sort of micro adjustable clasp, I'm sure. So this time, rather than the adjustment slots primarily being on the bottom surface, they're actually just down here. I'll try and hold that still. You can see the serrated teeth under there, so it's at least partly involved with that this time. Perhaps gives it a more consistent feel, I'm not sure, but you can push it in however much you want, and then you can click it back out again. So it still has a reasonable range there of micro adjustments. At least a full link size is covered there, which is good. The only thing to note with this system is it does seem like this end link is kind of fixed in place to a degree, or at least it's not got full articulation, and that may come into play if you've got a skinny arm like me, but we'll just have a feel real quick on wrist. And there's a look at it on my 6¼ inch wrist, and well, it turns out there's a reason for that iridescence there on the dial, and it's because this is like a guilloche mother of pearl dial too. So it's a swirl with a guilloche engraving on top of a mother of pearl surface. Not sure I've seen that before anywhere, and yeah, it gives some pretty impressive results. As for the sizing, my wrist is only 6¼ inches, so pretty small. This watch maybe has a dial that's a tiny bit too big for what's optimal for my arm, or at least for what I like to wear, but yeah, it still should be more than wearable for most people, I suspect. It is very, very thin, as you can see, wears quite flat to the arm, and the lugs curve down quite nicely there. There isn't too many gaps underneath. And they've also got kind of like a sister watch to this, and I don't think you can get that one on AliExpress, but it's from the sister brand Jiang Hun, basically. So that one's more of a standard guilloche effect dial, and that one also looks good, but certainly not as unique as this. I've not really seen anything that looks quite like this. Almost looks like a fossil, like an ammonite or something, doesn't it? Albeit with a shiny finish instead. And well, if a big brand released this, they certainly wouldn't be keeping it south of £1,000, would they? This thing is pretty special. I do wonder if that 12 marker is just a hair twisted a tiny bit, but it's only minor. We'll also do a quick crystal check, eh? And as our control, we've got the trusty Casio Oceanus here, which is a pretty cool titanium watch, which I know has got a sapphire crystal. Gives us a reasonably strong rating there. And we're looking for something similar from this San Martin. And yes, straight away up to that same mark. So it is indeed sapphire. Very similarly priced watches, these actually, and much different approaches. I do think the one on the right certainly is more elaborate. And San Martin watches have always had very good luminescence across the board. So I expect this will be no different. It looks to me to have BGW9 lume there with that bright blue effect. And actually, let's lob this Oceanus in here just for comparison. Why not? And yeah, really good lume from both, actually. Yeah, they actually say here BGW X1 lume. So I'm not sure I've actually seen that before. And the watches in my price range. But whatever it is, it's at least keeping up with that Casio on the left, perhaps beating it slightly, especially on the markers. But yeah, luminescence here, more than serviceable. It's been a while now, it's still pretty bright. Definitely, I'd say as good a performance as the likes of Rolex, believe it or not. So yeah, I'd go so far as to say this is possibly San Martin's best watch ever, definitely their best looking ever. When they first started making these more original designs, they seemed to not really have a clue what they were doing, but they are working their way up to the big time now. And I can't wait to get this thing under the macro lens, because I suspect it'll be pretty special indeed. It's linked below if you do want to take a look at it for yourself. Not sure the clasp is particularly any better or worse than previous iterations, just kind of different. Maybe it'll prove to be more or less reliable, who knows? Only time will tell on that one.